Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian. Welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And we got a show here that I just cannot wait for us to get into. But before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Let's get into this topic right here because I'm going to love this topic here. So let's get into it. What's been the thing we've been hearing in sports media for the last, 5 years? The thing we've been hearing is these current players in the NBA are the most talented, the most physically gifted, and the most advanced crop of NBA players that we've ever seen. And you've actually had some people out there that have tried to use some pseudoscience to basically intellectualize a position that they themselves cannot really explain. People will say this generation is more advanced, they're more skilled. And then you ask them, okay, can you just explain this in a way? Can you quantify it? They can't do it. All they do is speak in generalities. Oh, they're more skilled, they're stronger, they're faster. And it's like, okay, so do you have any quantitative data to prove this? Is there any data that you have that suggests that they're physically stronger? Do we have some charts that can compare their strength? Faster, do we have any charts that can compare their speed? More athletic, do we have any proof of this? They can't prove any of this. The fact of the matter, and I've been saying this, players have been as talented and as physically gifted as they have pretty much always been. There are no outliers in this particular generation versus generations in the past. Now, some people say, "Oh, you're trying to ignore the science. You're trying to ignore the science." And what do they throw out there? Evolution. These people don't even know what the hell they're just throwing out words because it feels good. I've realized people say things because it feels good to say it, even though they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. When they say evolution, they don't even know that there are two sets of evolution. Which one are you referring to? And I've studied a lot about this. Right? I've watched a lot of debates on this. I have. There are two basic forms of evolution. There's macroevolution and there's microevolution. Macro is turning a phone into a damn mongoose, where you have one thing and it turns into something different. Microevolution is when you see incremental changes within the same species. That's micro, but it happens over a long period of time. Certainly not 20 years or 30 years. But nevertheless, these people go out here and say this. And they use these terms like more fast, more faster, more skilled. They use these terms as a way to elevate this particular modern NBA over generations in the past, and saying this is the most advanced league we've ever seen. But there are other people out here that are pushing back on some of these things. And one of those people is Kevin Garnett. Yesterday, Kevin Garnett went viral for the public flogging he gave to Anthony Edwards and his supporters who support that nonsense that he said about players from Michael Jordan's era. But in the midst of him putting the beatdowns on these people, he then took it a step further and began to expose all of the media lies that has been told about this generation being better than generations in the past. And he basically said that these players in this modern NBA would not even survive in the past. And I sat back and I was like, man, tell it like it. Tell it. So for those of you who did not hear what Kevin Garnett, and it's long, but I want you guys to listen to every second of it because I believe every single thing he said was on the money. And I need you guys to pay attention to the passion that he spoke with. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Kevin Garnett had to say. Put on your seatbelts because this is going to be a doozy right here. And then we're going to come back and we're going to react to what he had to say. Take a listen to KG right here.
If I'm being honest, bro, I don't think anybody in this generation could have played like 20 years ago. If I'm being 100, and this is to everybody in our league, Tatum, all y'all. Let me tell y'all something, bro. 20 years ago, bro, you couldn't get to a triple step back.
Nah.
You hear what I'm saying to you? You couldn't get to a triple step back. And then if you shot that it had to go in. You know why? Because we had efficiency back in the day, my dude, and it was so it was too physical. And guess what? The league had to come off of it for the flow of movement to be able to have scoring go up, which is why we like to sit here and watch kind of the rat race of the high-paced game, right? But bro, let's not talk about the game and let's not talk about the physicality of the game back then. Real I only think half these kids in the league could have been on an NBA team 20 years ago.
Straight up.
The locker room was too, it was too grown.
You know what I watched too? You know what I
watched?
watched?
It was too grown. It was two of them. It was too much of a fraternity. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man.
Just
like
the hand check.
No, bro. It was a different vibration. David Stern did a great job of taking all of the physicality out of the game. You understand? Freedom of movement means freedom of movement. Man, back in the day when you had to get by Paul because Paul was squared up with you and ready to slide, and then he could body you, he could poke, he could use his hands, but I can use my hands.
I could fight through a screen.
Bro, in the Olympics was similar style play when the guard could ride you damn near over the pick.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to get out of that, and Holiday, when he come out and he get over, he there. Right. So if you go to cross him, bro, you don't even, that's what I'm saying, bro. Man, the levels in which you had to be not only strong enough, but skilled enough to get by this you. You understand? And then they ain't never seen a 6'7" Rodman guard you. Bro, I see you. And you know, you're in the scout report. We know you go left. We know you can finish right, but you go left to pull up. Bro, everybody knows, bro, in the games back then, them Isaiah Thomases and the Dumars, man, Dumars shut Jordan down. Bro, they was coming to the lane, bro. You might get your nose broke trying to dunk. You understand? Dwayne Wade broke Cole's nose in the All-Star game. Man, bro, it's just different. It was very different back then, bro. Real I'm talking about in the locker room. You can't be on your phone in the locker room. You can't. Bro, 20 years ago? Nah, nobody in this era could have played 25 years ago. We said that. And I'm talking about not just the play and all the skill that everybody got, actually was called bad shots and lack of efficiency. It was until they start data and saying take more threes than twos. Before then, we played ball, bro. We didn't give a that other. The GM couldn't come down and say, put into a game plan with a coach like Doc or D'Antoni talking about, we trying to get touches and touch the paint. Bro, I didn't see.
Yeah, it's hard to say more skill.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Nobody in this era has a mid-range.
Bro, you couldn't get, nobody.
Nobody in this era has a post game.
And the ones that do look amazing. Look at Shea. Shea got a mid-range.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, it's only like a few of them got.
That's what I'm saying, bro. 2 dribble, pull up.
Yeah, they don't.
Try to do it. Okay, young fella, if you hear me. And then y'all exhaust the ball. Y'all are dribbling the air out of the ball.
Right.
Y'all dribble the ball 100 times more than another.
Right.
Catch it off the bounce. 1 dribble, 2 dribble, pull up. Let me see you do that off the bounce.
Right.
Let me see your skill work off that. I ain't even known it like this, but bro, you can't come and expect a rebuttal. Bro, real was totally different. And you had to have that work, and you had to really work on your You know, you was out 2-3 games, man. Your teammates, hey, bro, what you doing tonight? You going? Nah, I can't go, man. My toenail off, man. I can't. Nah, bro, you can't even come in here and lead no like that. You hear me?
Nah.
So you had to strap it up, and you had to get out here. You had to dive on the floor. You had to get in the rumble. Yeah.
Right.
Real You had, man, it was men leading men. Yeah, ain't none of these no lockout. And Anthony Edwards don't know what's going on with the league policy. This, bro, you understand what I'm talking about? The leader, bro. Man, I can't even have this conversation.
You can't even say it if you ain't watched.
It ain't the same. It ain't the same.
Like,
then
don't
you say I didn't watch.
And don't say you didn't watch.
Man, Jordan, the only one has skill. Yeah, I know you didn't watch the game.
I know you
But
didn't
him saying
watch.
that.
Yeah,
so,
you can't say that.
You know what?
And then
Respect
say
to
you
the
don't
young
watch.
fella, man. I don't get on here, and we don't use this platform to douse anything. But I'm not gonna start the cooning. I'm here to elevate the game. I'm here to help the young players elevate themselves. But it's always different eras. And when you hear Michael Jordan and some of the greats talk about the different eras of play, the 80s was different from the 70s, the 70s was different from the 60s, the 60s was different from the 50s. But in all of it, it had gamemanship, it had aggressiveness, and it had stuff that came with it that you didn't really hear about that you hear now. Man, half these be in the locker room. Half these no parents and one mom and all, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these mom and dad and a lot of these outside. Man, I'm really from the park, man. I'm really
park.
am from Basswood. I really did play at Springfield Park. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Cleveland Park, all the parks.
Right.
I really was at Argyle.
Right.
I really was on 16th. I really was hanging out on Ridgeway. Like, I'm saying that to say that, yeah. Like, man, it was different times. So when I hear these things, they don't add up because it was a different time of how you played, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then there was a lot of two-way players back then that was real. I'm talking about stars. I'm talking about Gary Payton, the Jason Kidds, the Michael Jordans, the Grant Hills, the McGrady's and the Cobes, you know what I'm saying? The TDs, the C. Webbs, the Rasheeds,
He must have been talking about like the 60s or something.
Lord, he feeling himself, and I like that. I like that he feels good, but when you're a savant and you're talking to the league and you spitting different you gotta know what you're talking about to be in the argument or to be in the discussion of what we're talking about.
Right.
But to say that they're most skilled, 20 years, you couldn't get to a triple step back. All that hard and all that. And then, too, if you was dribbling the air of the ball, bro, you straight up. Hey, man.
Come on, man.
Swing it, man. What you doing?
What you doing? Come
Five
on,
more
man.
dribbles? You out here? Hold on, I got it. Back it up.
Miss,
What?
don't miss.
And then
don't
we
miss.
had plays that you had to remember. And if you couldn't remember the plays, you couldn't be out here. It wasn't all this switching. You had actually strategy to where the strategy had to go to 2-5, 2 and 4, y'all 3 and 4, y'all doing this.
Yeah,
you had a list of to be responsible
for sure that.
Not something, I didn't forget. And you know what? I'm out there because he's good. Nah, bro, there's a whole nother level of so, know what you're speaking about. But yeah, I'll root for you, young fella. Just know what you're talking about, young fella.
So you heard what Kevin Garnett had to say. You heard what he had to say. There's something important that I want to point out. And I think it's important that we state this from the onset. People that have been saying that this generation or athletes today are more advanced than athletes from the past, some of them are athletes themselves. And whenever you have people like myself who are not athletes, just conscious observers, we get told, you don't know what you're talking about because you're not an athlete. And it's used as a way to shut people down. But then something strange occurs from time to time. What occurs is you have other athletes that disagree with what these guys are saying. And what does this mean? It means that just because you're an athlete, it doesn't mean that everything you say is right. It means that you guys can be wrong because there are people that are disagreeing with you. If it was the case that all athletes would agree in unison on this particular subject matter, then I have to step back and say, well, these guys are professionals, so maybe I need to just lean on their professional experience and just say, okay, they're right on this because I don't know. But in this particular case, the opposite is occurring. Kevin Garnett is saying that these guys could not even hang in eras before. He also exposed some of the mechanisms that were put into the game to enhance these players and make them seem like they're better than what they really are. He spoke about the 3-foot, the 3-foot step back or whatever he called it. Basically, what he's saying is the NBA allowed it for players to travel. And if you can travel and if you can carry the ball, you can do a lot of things. So basically, players are allowed to break the rules. And whenever you break the rules, you start doing things like we see. He pointed out something else that was very, very important. And Commissioner Adam Silver had admitted as much, speaking to who? Kevin Garnett in an interview that they had. Commissioner Adam Silver, if you don't believe me, go hunt it down. It's on the internet. I don't have time to be showing the video to you now. KG asked him about the excessive scoring that is taking place in the NBA and how some fans are complaining about the competitive balance, that it's leaning too much towards offense. Then Adam Silver responded. He said, we discovered that if players would play under the rules of the very early 2000s and the 90s, it would inhibit them from putting on the offensive showcases that they put on a nightly basis. And one of the things that they used to allow players to score more was to have freedom of movement. Freedom of movement. And Kevin Garnett clearly explained the impact freedom of movement can have on a player's ability to score. Now, why do Kevin Garnett's words ring more than, for example, a Gilbert Arenas on this particular issue? Do you know why? Because Kevin Garnett actually played defense. Kevin Garnett was a defensive-minded player. So he would know the impact this would have from a defensive standpoint. If you're just talking to a guy that scored the ball, then he wouldn't know much about it. But KG was a guy that could score, could play on both sides of the ball, so he could tell you from a molecular level. And he's saying that these guys, if they played under more restrictive rules, they would not be who we think they are. They would not be. And he's saying that those that played under those restrictive rules are greater than players today. Well, that makes obvious sense. That makes obvious sense. If you can do more with more restrictions than the other guy, or if you could do the same rather than the other guy that has less restrictions than you, if both of you are on the same plane, the guy that had more restrictions is going to whoop this guy's ass every single time. Every single time. That is the reason why you hear so many people say, well, how many points would AI average if he played in this NBA? How many points would Shaq average? How many points would Kobe average? How many points would what Michael Jordan average? What do you think they're talking about? They're saying that if those players played in this weak-ass NBA today where there's no defense, there's no rim protection, there's no big man, there's no physicality, they would ether the league. Totally ether it. But for whatever reason, some NBA fans cannot seem to grasp this. For whatever reason, it's confusing. Some people hear this and they get confused. It's like as if we're talking about rocket science here. We're just talking simple basketball. And some people get confused. They're like, I don't understand. What do you mean? You're hating. And listen, what KG just said is the bloody truth. And any NBA player saying differently than what he is a damn liar. They are trying to triangulate into a position where they can be liked by younger viewers. So they're like, you know what? We just gonna lie to them. You heard more truth come out of KG in a 7-minute soundbite than you've heard from JJ Redick speaking for years on sports media and basketball. KG just gave you more concrete information in that 7 minutes than I've heard from a bunch of others talking basketball. He just laid it out for you. He's basically saying that these guys wouldn't make it. And it's the truth. Feel any way you want to feel about it. It is the truth. You put those players in this era, it would be a joke. A total joke. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.